And it's a chat boxing. I'm Sean, and I'm going to talk about the situation going on in the heavyweight division. Starting off with Klitschko, Joshua, that situation. A couple of other things I want to talk about as well. Well, let's get started with the Vladimir Klitschko, Anthony Joshua situation. When Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko, myself and I'm sure many other people thought result. Not just because we're fans of Tyson Fury, but because we just wanted to put an end to this kind of domination of Vladimir Klitschko in Germany. We were just kind of a bit fed up with it, and we wanted a new lease of life, basically, for the division. He said after a while that he wanted to exercise his rematch clause. I wasn't particularly excited about that. I didn't see that as particularly good news. I thought, okay, fine, let's just get it over and done with, and then we can move on. I do believe that Vladimir Klitschko and his team contributed to this situation now with Tyson Fury and his kind of downward spiral. And why I say that, I don't have any evidence of it, but I'm just looking at kind of patterns of behaviour, and I've definitely got a hunch. I believe that there's enough there for me to be at least suspicious of what went on. I think that Vladimir Klitschko never had any intention of coming to the UK to fight Tyson Fury. I don't think he wanted to. I don't think he fancied that kind of challenge. I don't believe he wanted to fight Tyson Fury in the first place. He was mandatory challenger, and he had to wait a long time to get his shot. So that's why the fight happened, not because Vladimir Klitschko wanted to fight him. I think behind the scenes they were making it very difficult for the fight to take place in the UK. Klitschko obviously has a lot more power than Fury. And I think that they were kind of complicating it, trying to long it out, trying to make it that the fight took place in Germany. I don't think it helped that it was Frank Warren, Mick Hennessy promoting it on the UK side instead of Eddie Hearn. I think that would have made it a lot easier. I don't think... just look at what's gone on with a lot of Frank Warren shows recently. I don't think he's got that much... got the budget or the influence really to put on these big shows, and I think that K2 were well aware of this, and I think that contributed to it. Tyson Fury isn't a very disciplined man. I don't think he's no Floyd Mayweather, Bernard Hopkins, or Vladimir Klitschko kind of person who's going to keep himself in tip-top condition all year round, looking after himself. So I think with the kind of the delay in the first place, I think that contributed to it. As I say, I don't have any evidence for that. I'm not putting this forward as a kind of a theory that people should kind of latch onto. It's just what I think. Anyway, that didn't happen. So then, fast forward, we've got Vladimir Klitschko supposedly coming to the UK to fight Anthony Joshua. I was very sceptical about this from both sides. I didn't think that Eddie Hearn would want to do it. I thought it was far too risky for Anthony Joshua and quite frankly unnecessary. I didn't think Vladimir Klitschko would want to do it either. I didn't think he'd want to come to the UK to fight Anthony Joshua. I don't think that's his style. I know he said that he won his European title in Germany against like a hometown German who had a big crowd behind him. Now listen, I know that the German crowds are good. I've actually been to Germany for football matches before, and I know they're good. They're a good football crowd, but in boxing, I don't know. Listen, it probably was a good, intimidating crowd, but how long ago was this? And who was Vladimir Klitschko back then? This is when he was fighting for the European title. So what? But I don't even know. I mean, a long time ago, he didn't have the power that he has now. He didn't have the luxury of dictating everything. So what he did then doesn't mean that he's going to be prepared to do it now. He said he fought like Bryant Jennings in New York. I mean, first of all, Bryant Jennings isn't from New York. He's from Philadelphia. Secondly, in general, the boxing crowd in America is nothing like boxing crowd in England. It's not anywhere near as intimidating. It doesn't have the energy, and it basically suits Vladimir Klitschko's style, quite kind of flat, slow. As I say, not no energy. I don't want to like say no energy, but it's a different planet to fighting an Englishman in his own city in the UK. So I don't really see that as being remotely comparable. I don't see Bryant Jennings as being a challenge in the same sense that Tyson Fury either. If he fought Deontay Wilder in Alabama, okay, fair enough. I'd give him that, but he didn't. So yeah, so I didn't think it was going to happen. Now it looks like he's going to fight Lucas Brown in Germany. So very disappointing, but not really surprising. I mean, this is kind of what I expect from him. Lucas Brown, no disrespect to him, he's a good fighter, but he's nowhere near as much of a challenge on paper, at least, as Anthony Joshua, especially not in Germany where he can control everything. I'm sure he's going to make it very difficult for Lucas Brown. I hope Lucas Brown's got a good team. They're going to look out for, any kind of advantages that the Klitschko is going to try and pull. For example, wrapping his hands before Team Fury could see it. Luckily, they clocked onto that and made him do it again. Having the sponge under the ring that they've been training on to take away from Fury's movement, this kind of stuff. I don't think that's really going to be a factor with Lucas Brown. But anyway, you get my point. I don't want to see Vladimir Klitschko having another fight all his own way in Germany. So, if that does happen, then good luck, Lucas Brown. Hopefully you can do the job. Vladimir Klitschko up to his old tricks. In terms of Anthony Joshua, what would he do from here? Well, I've heard people trying to say, he's going to sort of cherry pick David Price, and he's kind of just fighting bums. Well, he tried to make a fight with Vladimir Klitschko, who now Tyson Fury is out of the scene. He's probably the number one heavyweight in the division. So if that's cherry picking, then I don't know what to say. But he's tried to make the fight with Vladimir Klitschko. Offered the fight to Kubrat Pulev, to Bermane Stiverne, to Hughie Fury, Derek Chisora. Do you know what I mean? What do you want him to do? Like David Price. Who is there still in the top 15? You've got Charles Martin and Dominic Breazeale's already beaten. You've got Joseph Parker, mandatory. He's going to be fighting Andy Ruiz. Again, you've got David Haye in there. I don't know what's going on with David Haye. But, who else really is there? You've got Dupar. Is he slightly tougher fight than David Price? Possibly, but it's not like he's some big name. He's no Deontay Wilder, is he? So you've got him in there. You've got Eric Molina. What's the difference, really? Jarrell Miller, I like Jarrell Miller, actually, I do like him, but he's American, so he's not at a better level than David Price, but the difference is, David Price, it'd be a domestic fight, which is obviously going to be a much bigger fight. So, really, what do you expect him to do? I don't really see what more they could be doing. I don't know what they're offering people, like Hughie Fury, Peter Fury said that they're offering him low money. I don't know, but how much money does Hughie Fury expect for a title shot against Anthony Joshua? Anthony Joshua is obviously a much bigger name. He's a champion. I don't know the details, but it seems to me that Anthony Joshua is making a lot of effort to fight better people than David Price, and they haven't been up for it. So, what do you expect him to do? If he fights David Price, it's not a great fight for me. It's not ideal. It's not really what I want to see. But for me, from an Englishman's point of view, I'd be quite interested in seeing it. I can appreciate why people around the world won't be particularly enamoured with that choice. But David Price, he's got a massive punch on him. They've got a bit of history. He says that he knocked out Anthony Joshua at sparring before. I mean, that was like a long time ago. I don't know how relevant it is, but it may give David Price some confidence, and it might provide an interesting angle to the fight. So yes, it won't be like the greatest fight, but if they do announce that, when you consider that he's just been probably ducked by Vladimir Klitschko, Kubrat Pulev, Mace Deverne, Derek Chisel, all these characters turned down the fight. I don't think we can be too hard on him. There's only like 17 fights. So, that's one thing about that. Andy Ruiz, Joseph Parker, that's pretty exciting. I've seen a bit of Andy Ruiz. He hasn't really fought any like top people, but he has looked quite good from what I've seen. He's got quite good skills. He's a bit fat, isn't he? Let's be honest. So ideally, he'd lose a bit of weight, get a bit quicker on his feet, but he definitely does look like a skillful heavyweight. So that is a very intriguing fight for me. Joseph Parker, he's looked very good offensively. Defensively, I think he looks pretty poor, but he's obviously like learning his trade. And yeah, I think he definitely deserves a shot. Andy Ruiz, yeah, why not? I mean, he's been around a long time. He'd be like Mexico's first ever heavyweight champion if he can win. I think Joseph Parker will be New Zealand's first ever world champion if he wins. So that's an interesting angle. Quite like to see that. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting development. And I'm glad that those two are getting the opportunity rather than, Vladimir Klitschko just getting against Joshua, putting all those belts on the line. I prefer to see these people get a shot. People like Parker, definitely Parker, he's been putting the work in. So yeah, I look forward to that one. Yeah, last thing I want to touch on, apparently like David Haye has somehow secured a shot, like a mandatory shot of the winner of that fight. I'm not really sure why. He hasn't really done anything. He's beaten up like some villain from Neighbours. I'm only joking, Mark, if you're watching, but you just kind of reminded me of okay, it's easy. Yeah, he kind of reminded me of a villain from Neighbours, like a kind of bully. But yeah, I mean, pretty underwhelming opposition David Haye's been fighting. So he's done nothing, but he's got a big name. He obviously, brings a bit of money to the table in that respect. So he's just kind of completely jumped the queue. I do feel a bit sorry for the other people who've missed out on the opportunity, who he just gets this opportunity without having worked for it. But from a selfish point of view, I'm quite interested to see him in the mix. He's an exciting fighter. I'd like to see. I think he should give Shannon Briggs a shot. I think that's not really right what he did there. He used Shannon Briggs' name to kind of sell his mismatch, because Shannon Briggs at the time was very popular in the UK, still is. So I think he ducked Shannon Briggs. Not really. He's going on about Shannon Briggs wants to have it on pay-per-view, this, that, and the other. Shannon Briggs said he doesn't. So really, I believe Shannon Briggs. I don't know, but to me it seems more likely that he's saying that. Why would he want that? He might want it to be on pay-per-view, but why would he just say, "Oh, it 100% has to be on pay-per-view, or we're not fighting"? I don't know. I think David Haye has more of a history of being dishonest when it comes to boxing. So, but yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. He's going to be fighting for the winner of that, apparently, which no doubt means that he's going to be fighting another pie in his next fight. He's not going to want to jeopardise any chance that he has. Maybe he'll just end up fighting Anthony Joshua. Who knows? Maybe they'll just pull a mad move out and have David Haye against Anthony Joshua. I doubt it. I don't think that would be the case. I think David Haye will fight against another pie. I think Anthony Joshua will fight David Price. And I think Klitschko will fight Lucas Brown. So good luck to Lucas Brown if that does get made. I hope you can do the business. I don't think he will win. I think Klitschko should win, but hopefully not. So yeah, that's kind of my take on what's been going on recently. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching.